So hello again, everybody, and thank you all this morning for your welcome here to Devonport. It's been very lovely to meet some of you and talk a bit about life here. It's always lovely to come down to God's country here in Tasmania. Me and Karen have a special place in our hearts for this little island, but we really like its people as well, so thank you very much. So I've been asked to come and talk about what do we call the talk called? The Confessions from the Emergency Department. A little bit about hope and joy that's unexpected out of working as an emergency doctor, which is a bit of a funny thing to talk about because, as Nick alluded to, the emergency department isn't a place that people come usually with hope or joy. No one, except for a couple of regulars, really like going there. Where patients come I often and say, and they want to offer me even 9 hours, and I'm like, yeah, I know, this place sucks. Paying me a lot of money to come here, they're not paying you anything. Honestly, I think you probably end up with more hope and joy going to a mortgage broker than you would funnies to me most of the time. But I do think that working in the emergency department, you do interact with hope and joy and those ideas in a couple of different ways. And I'm going to sort of talk about what I learned about hope and joy working in that context. So, like I said, I've spent most of my career working in Western Sydney, which is an interesting place across a couple of different hospitals. And working as an emergency doctor, you do sometimes get to help people and instill hope, if not joy, in their lives. And that's the thing I've learned that's meaningful and good. The times where someone comes in and they're really sick, they've been hit by a car or hit by a truck or a bus or whatever, they're dying, and through my actions I'm able to help someone live. That's always satisfying when that works well. Even more satisfying sometimes is when someone comes in worried that something terribly disastrous is going on in their body or in their life, and you're able to reassure them and go, internally, nah, you'll be right. But externally able to say, it's okay, you're not having a heart attack. You can go back and live your life. We check you over and you're going to be fine. Or, I know what's wrong and I can help you fix that thing. I know which guy to send you to, which lady to send you to, or I know that you don't need anything, you'll be okay. And seeing the relief on people's face when they get out of my shop, which is always not a pleasant place to be, but also when they go back to come and live their lives, it's rewarding being able to help people. I'll never forget, I had a patient when I was very early in my training. Now, she was a young woman, and we got the call at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday evening, cardiac arrest, 20-year-old woman. She's been down for an hour, and you know she's dead. The people don't come back from that. But everyone leaps into action anyway, because she's 20, right? There's got to be some hope, right? There's got to be a little bit of hope. The chances of her surviving are basically nothing. But everyone leaps in. This woman comes in, she's still being worked on, her heart's not beating, something terrible has gone wrong. No one really knows why this has happened. We're still working on her. We get some of her initial results back, and they're a disaster. I remember looking at them and going, these are the blood results of a dead woman. And I knew it. Everyone else still working on it in the room knew it. The nurse unit manager knew it. Even though he was her brother, he knew it. His wife, the other nurse unit manager, knew it. But we still kept working. Why did we keep working? Well, we had hope. We had hope in the context of the absurd. We know the facts on this. It's not until Cameron in the back says, why is her belly so big? Puts an ultrasound probe on, her belly's full of blood. She's bleeding internally. We'll throw some blood at her. We'll see if that does anything. Her heart starts beating. That's incredible. No one expects that to actually work. And you still know she's there. You know she's going to die. Her brain's fried. It can't be anything but it. But you still run down the corridor, get the blood yourself. You could have let someone else do it. It's not usually your job as a little baby emergency doctor to run to the blood bank, but you want to be involved because you want to have hope. You want to believe that if you push the bed yourself, it's just going to make a little bit of a difference. You know it won't. But you have hope. And when that woman comes downstairs 6 weeks later, give you a hug and say, hey, thanks for saving my life, and when she's got 3 kids now and is living her life, well, you never forget that. I never will. I see a brother occasionally now and always ask them, oh yeah, she's going well, got 3 kids, still stubborn. Good crap. That's hope. That's joy. You can help a person on a bad day. Sometimes being able to... I have kidney stones. They're miserable. And kidney stones are the sort of thing that you'll be right. You'll live. I know that. Everyone knows that. No one gives them sympathy when they come to my emergency department because you feel like they're rolling around the floor, feeling like they're going to die. You know they'll be right. They'll pass eventually. I've had kidney stones, so I can give people hope and joy. Like say, hey, I know how you feel a little bit. I know it feels miserable. You will be okay. That's hope and joy, I suppose. Sitting with people on their worst days and telling them it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel miserable with this. You've had a miscarriage. The Inan's dummy. That's joy, I suppose. One thing you learn about joy and hope is in the absurdity of that environment. Sometimes the joy you experience is more the joy of not having made bad choices. The joy of seeing the decisions that other people will then go, well, I'm glad that it's not me, whether that makes me a bad person or not. The baby comes in, all his fingers are chopped off. You go, how did you lose all your middle fingers on both hands? And he says, you get to think I'm stupid. Well, tell me what happened. Well, I was trimming me hedge and it was really tiresome with the clippers. So I thought, what I'll do? I'll get the mower, I'll pick up my mower and I'll drag him along the hedge. And then half an hour later, another dog comes in, also missing all of his middle fingers. We looked at him and said, okay, how did you lose your middle fingers? He says, you're really going to think I'm stupid. I was driving home to trim me hedge, and I wasn't looking forward to it. And I drove past this other bloke who was trimming his head. And he had the best, what looked like the best idea. He picked his mower up, and I thought, that guy's a genius. Went home and looked at him, looked at the other guy. They looked at each other, and there was a moment of... Or the blokes who decided we're going to start an arborist business. We're going to go and chop down trees for people. Do we know what we're doing? Maybe not. Do we have an Australian business number? Probably not. Did we get our mulcher from a police auction? Quite possibly. When they set up at like 15 minutes away from my hospital, and here's the setup, right? So you got the ute, you got the rope attached to the ute, it's all loose on the ground, up the tree, over the upper branch, down tied to the branch that the guy's sitting on, chopping it with a handsaw. You go, okay, all right. And you might think when you're chopping a branch up that you'd know that it's maybe not the best plan to put the mulcher, like think gigantic pointing upwards Fargo mulcher, directly under where the branch is going to fall. But that would imply that you knew what you were doing, because that's what they did. And of course, when the branch falls, it falls into the mulcher, pulling the branch, the rope, tight. And so, bloke sitting on the tree over the top, he's fine. He got a little bit shocked that perhaps chopping a tree branch up produces falling branch. Dad, who's down on the ground, standing up a little bit, oh, looks good, mate. on the rope, looped around his foot, then gets lifted up into the air. The rope goes tight. Cheese wires his leg clean off, so he's gone up. Then he comes down, kasab. Then the rope goes tight, still holding the leg. It snaps between the ute and the leg. The leg then goes flying at speed under tension with the steel cap boot, kicking the son in the jaw, breaking the son's jaw, and then branch and rope and leg are gone. So my mate came out to this scene of chaos and carnage, stops the bleeding, puts the bloke in the ambulance, and ready to rush off to hospital to sort him out until he gets a... Chris? What? Chris, do you want the leg? No, I don't want the leg. It's been through the mulcher, hasn't it? Yet it hasn't, because the leg has become detached en route. It's flown off on a parabolic arc 200-300 metres down the road and landed in front of the 90-year-old lady hip in her rose bushes, still bleeding, but with a crate down. And instead of just dying of shock, as I think my mother would do, this woman has picked up the leg, travelled in the direction of the sound of violence and carnage. Oh, by the time she's got there, as the ambulance service is there, she's like, oh, does this belong to you? I'm hearing this story, my mate was like, yeah, I guess we do have the leg. Grabs the leg, gets in the back of the ambulance. They're travelling down the road. And travelling down the road, they're quite a distance from my hospital, and they get 20 minutes down the road before they go, hang on, we probably need to keep this cold. Now, I want you to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Now you're the bloke running a rural BP. It's a quiet Saturday afternoon. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 ambulances pull into your BP. A big, burly, ex-British SAS, now doctor guy, jumps out of the ambulance with a dismembered, hairy leg, runs over to your ice thing, shoves the leg in a bag of ice, hops back in the ambulance and drives off. How do you explain that to anyone? Well, I'll tell you what, they reattached the leg. So, even in the stories of absurdity, sometimes you go, oh yeah, hope. Oh, is it joy? Isn't that a bit funny? People make dumb choices. Hope, we can still help people. That's nice. It is nice. Yay. But sometimes when you're in an emergency department, you end up, the thing that you learn about hope and joy happens when you're right up in the messy business of people's lives. And Western Sydney is not always a place where people's lives go well. Our health system, I don't know if you've interacted with it, it's pretty good. It's not perfect. You come in with a chopped off leg, we'll probably be able to sort you out. We'll find an experienced SAS now doctor to come and put a tourniquet on. But if you really need a knee replacement or you're not getting back out of the house, you've not got private health insurance, well, trying to queue. The amount of time I spend standing around people who don't know how to interact with the system or just don't have the money to. So my GP sent me here because I need this as an emergency. I'm like, well, you need this. This is important. This thing you need sorted. I can't fix it though. I'd do it if I could. The system's a bit broken. You got to join the queue. And go, no. Sometimes you can help people. Bend the rules. Find a back alley to help someone back route into the system. Usually not. Even worse than that is interacting with people when their lives have either through their own choices or the choices of others have put them in a crisis. Someone's brought them to my shop because their life has put them where they are, and it's not good. Maybe one too many interactions with drugs, maybe their mental health stem crisis, maybe mum never loved them, maybe they didn't get the right education, and now they're here in a moment of absolute chaos, and misery in my shop. Just like they were last week, and the week before, and the week before. And sometimes you can help those people. Sometimes, I'll get you back on your feet, get your life on track. That'd be great. But it doesn't always happen. And you might, and plenty of people wring their hands and get frustrated and say, we need to make the health system better to help these people. Or say, no, society, if society was kinder and just helped people, or people just took responsibility, or pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, or if there were more of this type of person and less of this type of person, or TV was this or that or the other, people wouldn't end up like this or something. People want to come up with answers for why people end up in a hopeless and miserable place like that, and it could just be a bit better. We'll end up with it in Star Trek, it'll be great. And maybe that's true, maybe some of that's true, but you really get to see it when you're working in a place that sees people on their worst days. You learn what a lack of hope and failure of joy looks like. But I don't actually think that's the bleakest part of my job. I think the bleakest part is when people have fulfilled everything this life tells them is worth hoping in, is going to bring them joy. And seeing what that really looks like at the pointy end. And now it's Blake. So I'll never forget this bloke. I was a little baby doctor in my first ever term. I was working for the vascular surgery team, and this bloke had ruptured his abdominal aortic aneurysm. So yeah, aorta is a big blood vessel in your belly. It had popped. Now, 90% of the time, you'll be dead if this happens well before you get to hospital. But this bloke had his pop and then resealed. There's not much pain. The wake, he's alert. This is not a thing you can live with. Usually, you usually need that fixed, but give you an opportunity to come in. That this guy was old, he had other health problems, 7 in the morning, we're all rushing around trying to figure out, is there something we could do for this bloke? And the bloke comes from our Leonard Master on high, who looked at the CT scans, looked at him and his history. No. There's nothing we can do with this bloke. He is gonna die. We do something, he'll just die on the table. But then that leaves us with a very unusual circumstance in my emergency department. You got a guy, he's feeling all right actually. He's awake, he's alert. He can converse, he's not in that much pain, but at any moment he could literally pop. And all of us standing here, I don't know how to deal with this. Quick, get the palliative care team that could come and talk to him about feelings. We did that, and the wise old palliative care nurse came down and listened to this conversation, and I'll never forget it. She's come down and she's sort of explained to him and his beloved wife and daughters and the grandchildren were all around the bed of this much-loved man in his 70s and saying, so look, you're in this circumstance. It's very unusual that we know that at any moment this could pop. Right now you're feeling okay. We've got to decide right now, what do you want to do in the time you have left? I mean, life's a bit like that. At least that's what we're told, isn't it? You want to live once, just live. Enjoy your life. Who knows what will happen next? You've only got so much time. Just live. Find your hope. Have joy. This is the pointy end of that, isn't it? It's right there. You can pop any moment. So what does this bloke want to do? What do you reckon? What does he want to do with the time he has left? Any moment he could pop. His desire was to go down the RSL and play the pokies. Oh. Whoa. Yeah. So that's sympathy for a minute, right? Like, every time I tell that story, people, the median reaction is, you don't even want to look at that. And what that says. Just go down to pokies, have a punt. Press the button, get some dopamine. It's not about the money, is it? He's not decided to do anything with the money. He doesn't want to sit with his loved ones who are there, who come with phone from wherever they're at his bedside. He wants to go and do this thing that the world says, come down a pub, have a punt. You'll feel great. This is what you should hope and have joy in. You'd got everything that you could want, loved ones, a life, and these last moments, what the excited wants. You didn't make it to the RSL. But he's not the saddest, bleakest interaction I had. That was with a 17-year-old kid. I was doing a job as a toxicology registrar, so I dealt with people who'd either been poisoned or poisoned themselves, and this bloke take a whole bunch of pills, and we saved it. Yeah, great. We've saved this kid. Good-o. All right. The breathing tube's out the throat. Now we've got to deal with feelings. Well, I get the feelings up just to come talk to him, but I've got to at least talk to him first, so I figure out what to say to them. Go and talk. And I had this conversation a couple of times a day at this point, so I was deeply jaded and bleak in my outlook already. Got him. Okay, hello, Johnny. What happened? I took some pills. Okay, why'd you take the pills? I did it because I wanted to kill myself. Okay. Why did you want to kill yourself? So I've had this conversation many times a day. I'm not a horrible person, I don't think, but I'm getting a little jaded by it. But then he looks me in the eye and he says, not what everybody else says. There are, most of the time, when you have someone who's sad like that or mentally ill like that, they'll say, oh, the mum didn't love me, or the girls left, or life's too hard. Or yeah, you know, we could just make society a bit better, or just help you, or give you another pill, or send you to the right psychologist, it'll all be better. Get off the drugs, it'll all be better. This guy, look, wasn't like that. He's an upper middle class kid. He's still in school. His parents sitting next to him. They haven't given up. Yeah? He's got a girlfriend who he loves, who loves him. And he looked at me and he said, I've got anything and everything I want. Could want. What the best education money could buy. I've got any amount of alcohol or drugs that I want. His parents were sitting when he's saying, sitting like that. I've been given endless mental health support. I could have any physical thing I wanted. I'm still not happy. Now, you might look at that guy and go, oh, you're mentally ill, you're wrong. I probably was. But I wonder if this kid, looking at me, was the wisest guy I met that day. I wonder if the story that we're sold about this life, you know, he wants just go out and enjoy, find your thing, just live. The hope that we're given about finding joy in this, like be it people we love or substances that are fun or go out and get power or achieve things or just go have a punt. This guy had done all those things. He's only 17. He'd already done it all. And he knew as it doesn't make it happy. There's a dude in the Bible called Solomon. And Solomon was, if you're not familiar, he was king of Israel 2,000-3,000 years ago, something like that. And he was king of Israel at the time where it had its most success, biggest. And he was probably the most worldly successful person in the history of Israel. He conquered the most land. He had something like 700 wives. He had endless palaces and vineyards and stuff. He was wise. He was said to be wise. He was said to have been given wisdom by God. And everyone thought, oh, he's a clever bloke. And he wrote a lot of books. One of them, called Ecclesiastes, and he's had musings on his life and on the meanings of life and on hope and joy. And, you know, and he said, everything is meaningless. Utterly meaningless. A chasing after the wind. What do people gain from their labours and their toils? Nothing. In the end of the day, you'll be dead. And no one will remember you. They'll squander what you've got. The joys and pleasures just that you might go and experience in the world is just madness. I wonder how much of my time, how much of your time you spend living a life seeking hope and joy in in things in this world, how much time you spend chasing that hope, that joy, just over the hill. Just if I had a little bit more of this, just a little bit more of that, a little bit less of this, I'd be happy. I have meaning. I have hope. How much do we spend our time doing that? At the end of the book, after he goes through all this stuff that's meaningless, the end of the book that he writes, the writer of the book says, actually, I do think there's some meaning. Here it is. Now all is then heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments. For this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. Okay? So this life's meaningless and we just got to do what God says. Is that what that's saying? Well, it'd be easy to just read it by itself. It doesn't make you feel like going and living life for hope and joy by itself. Is drinks? Is fun? Is the sort of thing you might want to do? But I think for me, living in this world, seeing the best that you can and the worst things that can happen to you every day, I think it forces you to ask the question, what does this book and the rest of what God has to say about himself and this life and the next mean about hope and meaning? Because I think, and I truly believe, that we live in a world when that, to follow God and what he has said, has a true hope. Because it's not the end of the story. We know from historical records that there was a bloke called Jesus who lived on this world, who came back to life, who did incredible things that no one else could do or explain, who said to us, find God. And if you follow me and have hope in me, not you like, here might be this or might be that, but you can have hope in me eternally. You can have joy because you know what's coming next. Your joy and hope can come from serving me and living in paradise with me forever. So, how then does that affect my day as an emergency doctor? It really affects me when people come in who know doubts, who have hope beyond the pokies. A couple of years ago, I had a bloke come in who's very ill for a long time. It made it easier to know that he was a Christian because he's a minister. He's deathly ill. He's definitely going to die. To be able to sit with him and his wife and say, we could torture this bloke, but we know that it's not going to work, but we also all know where he's going next. He has hope. We can have hope because of him. That's real hope. If you hope for the stuff in this world, if you try and find joy in your health or in your loved ones or in how you change the world or what you achieve or the good you do for other people just in and of itself, well, one day you're going to be as dead as the guy with a pop aorta. But if you have hope in something beyond this life, in something eternal, that changes everything. That's my little